Hey, everybody, this is Mike from the Reelblack podcast. And today we have a very, very, very special guest, someone that we met on one of our Empowerment Tuesday live streams a few weeks ago. And she's back again in a little bit better internet health. Coming to us live and direct is Empress Kino of the Empress Kino YouTube channel. How you doing today?
Good. How are you, Mike? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing all right. It looks like you're enjoying some travel, which makes me envious and jealous. I love your channel because it shows people a whole different part of the world.
Being strong black women has hurt us. So I opted out. Instead, I am a powerful black woman. I chose to leave the American dream behind and move to Africa. For me, freedom is wealth. That is the dream I believe in. The American dream literally started to drive me crazy. So I decided I wanted to experience the African dream. Subscribe to Empress Kino YouTube to journey along with me. Experience life in East Africa through the lens of a black expat. Join me as I share my self-care journey while traveling and living as a resident in Africa.
Hi, my name is Empress Kino. I'm an African American, so Black American. But I recently relocated to East Africa, Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. So I've been sharing my adventures, like me traveling the world. I'm actually off the continent right now, as well as all of my adventures and travels in Africa.
I love it. So I was on the verge of leaving the country myself. I think that's what we were talking about before. Like,
Mhm.
especially with the way things are going, I think that there's going to be a lot of expatriates in the next few 4 to 6 years, and devising an exit strategy from this US of A kind of scenario. What led you on your journey?
Self-care, like many of us, I found myself overworked, feeling burned out and feeling like it was my responsibility to change my life. Like I wasn't happy with just the concept of just working enough to pay bills and having a little bit of fun every now and again. I wanted to center my life around doing whatever it is that I feel like. And they always say Africa is a great place to go, fall off the grid for a while, get yourself together. And ironically, I'm a huge Dave Chappelle fan, and we all know the story of how Dave Chappelle disappeared to Africa and came back a new man. So I just kind of wanted to feel what life and culture was like outside of the US and just kind of feel and experience life instead of just going through the motions.
Hmm. I love
Mm.
it. So, I mean, and the videos that you make, they talk about this journey.
Yeah, so I've been sharing my self-care journey. So everything about the different pressures that we experience as Black women in American society, as well as like Black people, our culture, our mental health in general. But also, I've been sharing the different adventures I have on the continent, meeting other expats from both America, the UK, the Caribbean, everywhere really, as well as just kind of showing what lifestyle is really like in Tanzania, because we know very little about East Africa as African Americans. Typically when we hear about Africa, we hear about like Nigeria, Gambia, Ghana, everything over in West Africa. So I've been having lots of fun saying, "Hey, y'all, this is actually what it's like out here. Y'all should come see," because it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of things that are considered luxury here in America that are very accessible to us there. So it's nice to live a comfortable lifestyle, but also show others like the stereotypes and stigmas that we've been taught our lives, just like most of them.
I love it. I love it. So, I mean, myth dispelling. I mean, do you need tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars to make the move? I mean, or is it something that's within the average person's reach to be able to make a switch like this?
I would say the determines person's reach. Because if you're average, you're just going to stay doing average things to wherever you are. Upping and moving to another continent, another country is not an average feat in the beginning. But you don't need to be super wealthy. Like if you are determined, you can create goals. One of my favorite things about where we are in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam is the largest city in East Africa, by the way.
Hmm.
But one of my favorite things about there is we get every variety of life. Like there's very urban, upscale living. There's more traditional African living. So there's literally something for every budget. And I always encourage others when I do consultations and things like that, you want to come at the top of what your normal budget will be. That way, you know what's actually attainable for you. But it's not impossible. You don't need tens of thousands. You need a passport, you need a flight, and you need a few $100s, because what you'll find once you get there is things like housing accommodations and food are extremely affordable when you're coming with foreign currency.
Mm, I love it. So, um, in terms of making the move, I mean, what advice would you give somebody who's like, let's say I'm ready to make a move, I'm ready to leave the country, you know, in Tanzania they speak English, of course, so that's not a barrier. But I mean, what should I be prepared for in terms of when I first get out of the country? Like, are you able to sustain yourself through working there, or do you have to have your own sort of nest egg and you're living off of that? I mean, like, what are the logistics of making a, a practical move to another country?
That's a great question. So it's actually a question I get often. So what I've started to do is build resource material as well as offer consults. But it really depends on the lifestyle you're looking to live. So Tanzania is a great, great place for retirement. Like think Florida type vibes. People love to come retire there. So you can get like a retirement visa and live on maybe less than $300 to $500 a month for a single person. And I'm talking like housing accommodations, eating out, transport, all of the above. But then there are other things to be concerned about with immigration. Like many people come in on a tourist visa. That's very easy for us to get as Americans. It's only $100 USD. You can get it on arrival. But the caveat with that is you would have to leave the country every 90 days to renew it. One of the things I've been recommending to people is to connect. Socializing is extremely important in African society. So having connections will be one of your first things that you should be focused on, especially as a foreigner, because you can be a target since you're a foreigner. And there is known to be a very peaceful place, so it's less likely to be violence, but more likely scamming. Like someone's going to charge you more because you're speaking English. Language can be a barrier. They speak Swahili in Tanzania.
Hmm.
So it's preferable that you lead with Swahili, even though English is accessible. They have what you call Mzungu tax. It's not an official thing, but Mzungu is how you say white man or white person in Swahili.
Yeah.
So if they hear you speaking English, they're assuming you're wealthy. So they may charge you 2 or 3 times the local price, and that might be very affordable for you, but that's very expensive for the local market. So the things to prepare, I always advise is start learning to speak Swahili. At very minimum, learn to count and learn the greetings. And start learning a little bit about what the currency actually buys. Like, don't go so excited, like, oh, this is so much cheaper. I can't believe it. You don't want to pay foreigner prices. You want to pay local prices.
Hmm.
So I just would recommend just kind of getting a taste of the culture from whatever you can absorb from afar, as well as making as many connections as possible.
Hmm. And did you scout out other places before you landed in Tanzania? What was it that attracted you to Tanzania, East Africa?
Yeah, so I did check out, like, I scouted West Africa, like many of us coming from America do. But I found that it seemed as if it was too commercialized for me. Like, I'm kind of, what you call that, contrarian, where I want to do the opposite of what everyone else seems to be doing. And since there was like a whole campaign to come visit there, I'm like, well, I want to see what's going on where there isn't a campaign. So I actually took some time to review Rwanda as well. That's still on the top of my list, and it's a great place to do business, very business friendly. South Africa is interesting to me. Namibia is interesting. But what drew me most to Tanzania is its history in Black American politics. It's been known as a location where freedom fighters have gone once they flee the country. Black Panthers have retired there. It's just a place that's very comfortable for an outside of the box lifestyle. And Dar es Salaam is right there on the beach. That was a big requirement for me, and a tropical environment was a big requirement for me. Swahili is something that was very interesting to me, so it's a language that I decided I wanted to learn. And like most Americans, we had a very small taste of it. Like you hear like the Lion King, Hakuna Matata, and Simba, and Rafiki. These are all Swahili words. So I just had an interest in the culture, and I didn't have that whole cliche, I'm returning to my ancestors thing in mind. But it's funny, the longer I'm there, the more people tell me I look like I'm a local. I look like I belong here. I seem like I'm from belong here. So I feel like just like most things, you should do what you're called to do and not necessarily what's popular or what maybe even seems to make sense because other people like you may be doing it.
I love it. So, and you went with your whole family, right?
Yeah, so I'm married, so it's myself, my husband, and our son. So just the three of us. We fully relocated out there.
Oh, now how is it raising a child in a different culture?
It's very interesting. So my baby's going to be fluent in two languages, which is awesome because he's two, so he's still absorbing all of those things. But Swahili culture, so Tanzanian culture has a history of socialism. So it comes from a very familial place, and it's very clear in the culture that the remnants of socialism still stand. So, like, it's very normal for strangers want to hold your baby. Toto, that's what how you say child Swahili. They just come up, pick your baby up. It's very in the beginning. It's like, whoa, what you doing? We don't do that in America. Stranger danger.
Right.
But that's like very normal in Swahili culture. So everyone refers to each other as brother or sister, grandmother or grandfather. You always address people by titles. So that in itself kind of gives you an idea of how familial the culture is. So raising a child there, I personally like it. And from other expats that I've seen that have come with many children or a few children, they seem to really be enjoying how free it is compared to how we're taught to raise our children in American society.
Cool. Now I'm gonna open up your page. I mean, one of the things we'd love for more people to check you out. Um, let me just share your page for a second. Hang on. Uh, okay, so this is a reset. All right. So, oh, I got to get rid of the. We cut ourselves off. Hang on. Let me hide that. Okay. So, all right. So we're this is Mike from the Reelblack podcast, and we're talking with Empress Kino of the Empress Kino YouTube channel. You can see I'm subscribed, and I hope that everybody else is too. So, what made you want to start a vlog? Um, and you've got quite a few videos on here too.
Yeah, so originally my YouTube channel started as my journal, and it still is. I'm just vulnerably and honestly sharing myself as a Black woman who's finding herself in new ways that I haven't been taught to find myself. I feel like in our generation, we're kind of more in tune with the whole concept of mental health than maybe our ancestors have been. So I've just kind of been sharing what I've been finding about myself in hopes to connect with others so I wouldn't feel as isolated. And what I found is there are many of us, not just women, but men as well in our community who've experienced a lot of the things that I have. And then I kind of just went further with that as I began to travel. I started sharing, like, wow, guys, look is what's happening out here. And then people started reaching out, like, can you show this? Can you show that? Because what we know about Africa is a lot of it is kind of shrouded in mystery. Like, we don't get to see what's actually going on the ground until someone's physically there. You don't really find these things in the news media or anything like that. So I found that it not only was a great outlet for myself, but a nice resource for others. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. I like the community aspect of this. And that's what's been encouraging me to want to continue to create content as well as connect with others.
I love it. So, like for me, I'm a big movie fan. You know,
Mm.
can I get the American movies, or am I subjected? Like, is my Netflix account going to work in Tanzania, or do I need a VPN or something like that to get the American stuff?
You do need a VPN for some of the apps because the government doesn't allow their citizens to consume a lot of the things that we're allowed to consume as Americans.
Hmm.
So for apps like Hulu and Netflix, and even some certain videos on YouTube, you might need a VPN. But you can still access all of your normal amenities. Like one of the funniest things I like to share is, we like to think that Africa is in the dark, but the truth is we can literally access anything from anywhere in the whole world there. Like their imports come from USA, they come from Turkey, they come from Europe, they come from here and there. So you can say, I want this thing, and someone will go find it for you and you'll have it. Versus here, we buy what's available or what's accessible to us.
Hmm.
So it's funny, you might think you have less options, but you actually have more there with most things in life. And I find that to be very interesting And one of the things that I like to share often because I'm still surprised by it.
Why did I choose Tanzania? Carefree living and freedom is very much attainable for me here, and that has been my entire goal.
Did you set a boundary and follow through with it, and it disturbed that negative intent? Do it again.
My name is Empress Kino, and I left the American dream for the African dream.
So I am exporting goods from Zanzibar abroad. I have a shop called Shop 3 Care, so I would like to mention that as well. I'm working with local vendors to help them export their goods because they don't have access to e-commerce in the ways that we do, and they're dependent upon tourism. So as you can imagine, during the last couple of years with all of the lockdowns, things have been extremely difficult in a place where people already may not have the same amount of opportunities that we have. As a foreigner, I feel like, you know, it will be a great charitable work, maybe not necessarily because I don't believe that Africa needs our charity, but I feel like since they've allowed me to come and enjoy the privilege of being a part of their culture, one of the things I can do by giving back is to help promote local vendors who have these great goods, but no audience to market it to. One of my personal dreams has always been to have a premium self care shop. So prior to leaving the States, I actually closed my shop for a little while. And I'm going to be relaunching with suppliers from East Africa. So we are growing the cotton, we are creating the fabric, we are creating the textiles, and then producing garments. We are growing the spices and hand creating the soaps and then exporting them. Everything is completely 100% organic, 100% sustainable, and completely handmade in East Africa by East African producers. I think that adds so much more value to what we may choose for our self-care goods beyond like Chinese imports or the latest drop from Bath and Body Works or the latest thing from whatever big vendor you can find at Walmart. Shopping small as well as directly in this way not only helps to provide exposure for these vendors, but it also helps them to sell their goods at a more fair market rate. Because keep in mind, we're paying USD for things that people are producing in other countries for literally pennies on the dollar. So that's where we get concepts like fast fashion. And actually, that's what made me want to get into the textiles. The country of Tanzania, as well as Kenya and some of the other countries in East Africa, as well as West Africa, they're being forced to allow vendors to import goods that are free for them and selling them. So they're collecting donated clothes from the US, they're collecting donated clothes from the UK, and they sell them to the vendors in Africa. And the result of this is the textile producers, the seamstress, the garment makers there, they cannot afford to compete with what you call mtumba, which is used clothes. So they're getting free clothes and selling them at a small price. People who are producing clothes cannot compete with that. As a result, a lot of textile makers have completely gone out of business. The textile industry has seen a huge dive in Tanzania. So we're not only creating textiles, we're doing it directly from the source. We're growing the cotton, we're creating the threads, we're creating the fabric, and then we're creating the garments. That way, it's directly from the source, so the quality is better, as well as the fact that it supports a local vendor.
Fantastic. So, for those who want to get involved, I mean, where can they find you?
You can find me here on YouTube at Empress Kino. You can follow me on Instagram at Empress Kino. You can find all of my links at empresskino.com. But if you want to support the local vendors and textile makers as well as soap makers in Tanzania, you can find that info at shop3care.com. And all of those links can be found at empresskino.com.
Okay, repeat the shop link again because we're going to put it on the screen.
Shop 3 Care. So shop the number 3 and then care like healthcare.com.
Love it. Okay, well, thank you, Empress, for hanging out on the Reelblack podcast. I will encourage everyone who's watching to hit the subscribe button on Empress Kino's channel, as well as Reelblack 2, which is our backup channel, which is where you're going to find all the classic Reelblack videos. Dick Gregory's moved over there, Paul Mooney's moved over there, and we're basically building from the ground up an original channel of Reelblack content. So thank you again, And I will hopefully see you in the mornings when we're playing music again. You have to request a song.
Yes, I'll be back soon. Thank you so much for having me. I've been a fan of this channel for a long time, and the content that you create obviously resonates with myself, but I'm sure people who are like us, and that need that encouragement or need that piece of history sometimes.
Fantastic. I appreciate you as well. Thank you so much. So tell me about the soft life.
Yeah, so my whole thing now is labor, I can't do it. It's not for me. I decided as a Black woman to rebel against the system that's always requesting us to do endless labor, be it emotional labor, physical labor, raising children, this, that, and the third. It's been an endless cultural and generational thing that I decided I'm opting out of. So I'm doing the barest of the minimum, and doing just enough labor for survival, and encouraging those who want to support me instead of feeling like, no, I need to do it all on my own, because that's what we do. So by being soft, I'm really embracing my femininity in a whole new way. And that's something I've actually learned by being a part of culture now in East Africa.
I love it. And so you have a Patreon as well that helps support you.
Yes, please come support me at my Patreon channel. There, I offer specific detailed information, for those who might be interested in how much did my car cost. We've purchased two new vehicles in Tanzania. How much is my rent? How much have the Airbnb investments been? What other investments have you made in Tanzania that's been fruitful? What problems have you had? So it's just a nice, direct, clear resource for those who are looking for specific details because they're looking to make a real move or a real investment within the near future.
Find Empress Kino on YouTube, Instagram, and journey along with me. Experience life in East Africa through the lens of a Black expat. I've established my wealth as my freedom, and I want to share my wealth with you. Subscribe to Empress Kino's journey at the link below.